All chords in music are built from geometric patterns, which is why they sound so good, and really all 12 notes of the chromatic scale reflect an underlying framework of geometry, which we can see here in pitch space when the notes are arranged in a loop like this. In the key of C, for example, the tonic, or interval 1, C, is directly across from the tritone, flat 5, which is part of a star pattern that connects all notes and their respective tritones. Interval 1 is also equidistant from intervals 4 and 5, which are also part of another star pattern that connects all notes with their respective subdominants and dominants. The tonic 1 is also equally spaced from intervals 3 and flat 6, and together these notes form a perfect triangle, which itself is part of a larger web of identical geometric connections. Interval 1, C, is also equally spaced from flat 3 and 6, that together with the tritone form a square with the tonic, which likewise is a subset of another geometric pattern of intervals. With intervals 2 and flat 7, the tonic is part of a hexagon of whole steps, and with intervals flat 2 and 7 and all the other notes, it forms a dodecagon of half-step intervals. This geometry is inherent to the chromatic scale and highlights all of the relationships between the notes, and what's cool is that this underlying framework informs the way that we play chords. For example, take an augmented chord like this C augmented, and you can't miss the geometry of this triangle formed from intervals 1, 3, and sharp 5. This is the sound of a perfect triangle. Or when you play a diminished 7th chord like this C fully diminished, you get a perfect square from intervals 1, flat 3, flat 5, and double flat 7. But what about a more common chord like C major? How is that geometric? Well, this triad is formed from a combination of geometric connections, where the major third between intervals 1 and 3 comes from this pattern, while the minor third between intervals 3 and 5 comes from this pattern. And then this interval between 5 and 1 comes from this geometric pattern. So the major chord is assembled from these three patterns. And really all of the other chords are also composed from various geometric relationships, like the minor chord, 7th chord, 9th chord, 11th chord, 13th chord, etc. Every harmony is informed by these underlying patterns.